Most people don't lose love. They lose themselves, quietly. It doesn't happen in one moment. It happens in small compromises. In words left unsaid. In boundaries crossed, just this once. Until one day, you look in the mirror and realize. The man you used to be is gone. This is not a story about heartbreak. It is a story about self-erasure. About men who loved deeply, but forgot to stand firmly. Stoic philosophy was never about suppressing emotion. It was about mastery. Over the self, not over others. In this video, you will not learn how to win love, chase attraction, or avoid loss. You will learn something far more important. How to love without losing yourself. Because the truth is simple. If love requires you to abandon who you are, it was never love worth keeping. Stay with me. What follows may be uncomfortable, but it will change how you love forever. Welcome to the channel, Stoic Love Wisdom. This is where every story and lesson about love will help you find the answer. Today, we will explore a new perspective through the topic, 7 Steps to Love Without Losing Yourself. These are real-life experiences and profound lessons that will change the way you perceive love. Follow me, because the most surprising and interesting things are still waiting for you ahead. Before starting, find a quiet place, put on your headphones and relax your mind. Let the sharing in this video help you feel more fully and enjoy every meaningful moment. Are you ready to embark on this journey? Let's begin. Step 1. Know your own value before you try to be loved. I didn't learn this lesson from books. I learned it from losing myself. There was a time when I believed love meant proving my worth to someone else. Being available. Being agreeable. Being useful. I thought if I gave enough, stayed long enough, endured quietly enough, I would be chosen. What I didn't understand back then was this. When a man doesn't know his own value, he starts negotiating his dignity. And love should never require that. In Stoic philosophy, a man is taught to first master himself before attempting to walk alongside another. Because if you do not know who you are, love will not complete you, it will consume you. Knowing your value is not arrogance. It is clarity. It means you are no longer asking, am I enough for her? Instead, you are calmly observing, is this connection aligned with who I am? A man who knows his value does not chase validation. He does not beg for attention. He does not shrink himself to fit into someone else's comfort. Why? Because his sense of worth is internal, not negotiated through affection or approval. Most men lose themselves in love not because they love too deeply, but because they love without an anchor. They attach their identity to how they are treated. A text reply becomes reassurance. Silence becomes anxiety. Distance feels like rejection. That is not love. That is emotional dependency disguised as devotion. The Stoics believe that anything you place outside your control should never become the foundation of your peace. And another person's feelings are always outside your control. So before you love someone, you must answer one question honestly. Who are you without them? If the answer scares you, that is where the work begins. Knowing your value means you have standards that are not fueled by fear. You don't tolerate disrespect just to avoid loneliness. You don't accept confusion just to feel chosen. You understand that being alone is not a punishment. It is often the training ground where men are forged. A man with self-worth walks into love whole. He does not expect the relationship to save him, heal him, or define him. He shares his life, he does not surrender it. This is why such men appear calm in relationships. Not because they feel less, but because they are not ruled by emotional chaos. They do not over-explain. They do not overgive. They do not overstay where they are no longer respected. And paradoxically, this calm strength is what makes them deeply attractive. Not the loud confidence. Not the perfect words. But the quiet certainty of a man who knows what he brings to the table. And is not afraid to walk away from tables where his value is ignored. If you want to love without losing yourself, this is the foundation. Build a life that would still stand if love left tomorrow. Develop principles that do not bend for approval. Respect yourself enough to choose peace over attachment. Because the truth is simple and uncomfortable. The moment you need someone to feel valuable, you have already given away your power. Love should be an addition to your life, not a replacement for your self-worth. And until you understand that, every relationship will feel like a battle between holding on and losing yourself. Step 2. Do not make love the center of your life. This is where most men fail, quietly. Not because they don't care enough, but because they care too much, in the wrong way. They take love and place it at the center of their universe. Everything begins to orbit around one person. Mood. Time. Decisions. Identity. And the moment love becomes the center of your life, you no longer walk beside someone. You revolve around them. That is not devotion. That is self-erasure. I've seen strong men become anxious men this way. Men with direction lose their focus. Men with fire start negotiating their standards. Not because their partner demanded it, but because they abandoned their own center. Stoic philosophy teaches something brutally honest. Anything you place at the center of your life holds power over you. If your center is external, your peace is fragile. Love, by its nature, is uncertain. People change. Feelings fluctuate. Circumstances shift. To make love the foundation of your identity is to build your house on moving ground. A Stoic man does not reject love. He places it in its proper position. Love is an addition, not a replacement for purpose. Not a substitute for meaning. Not a cure for emptiness. When a man lacks direction, love becomes his escape. When he lacks self-respect, love becomes his validation. When he lacks peace, love becomes his medicine. And medicine taken without understanding the illness eventually becomes poison. You see this pattern everywhere. A man stops training because she needs more time. He abandons his goals because conflict feels uncomfortable. He silences his truth to preserve harmony. Slowly, without realizing it, he teaches her one dangerous lesson. My life revolves around you. And paradoxically, that is when attraction begins to fade. Not because she is cruel, but because deep down, people respect those who stand on solid ground. A man with a center does not disappear in love. He remains anchored. He has work that matters to him. Principles he will not compromise. A life that continues, with or without romantic approval. This does not make him cold. It makes him stable. Stoicism does not teach emotional suppression. It teaches emotional sovereignty. You can love deeply, without making love your identity. You can commit, without collapsing your world into one person. You can care, without clinging. When love is not your center, something powerful happens. You stop overreacting. You stop chasing reassurance. You stop fearing distance. Because your life still has weight. Still has direction. Still has meaning. And this creates a rare dynamic. You choose your partner. You do not need them to function. This is where love becomes calm instead of anxious. Strong instead of desperate. Mutual instead of one-sided. A man who keeps his center intact does not lose himself in relationships. He shares himself. And if love ends, it hurts. But it does not destroy him. Because he did not give love the keys to his entire existence. Here is the truth most men learn too late. If losing someone means losing your sense of self, you gave them too much power. Love should enrich your life, not consume it. Keep your center strong. Build a life that does not collapse when love is challenged. Let your relationship be a part of your world, not the axis it spins on. Only then can you love without losing yourself. Love, like a mirror that reflects ourselves. When you learn to love, you are also learning to look back at yourself. What are your strengths? What are the wounds that need to be healed? And understanding yourself will help you understand the other person more deeply. That is also the reason I share on this channel, to help you see love as a journey to nurture your soul. If you find these things meaningful, click like to spread that value. And if this is your first time coming to the channel, don't forget to click subscribe with the notification bell, so we can always accompany each other in the next lessons. Leave a comment below, share your true feelings after listening to this part. Who knows, your little story may touch the heart of someone in need. Now, let's continue on the next part of this journey. Step 3. Set emotional boundaries, without guilt. Most men don't fail in love because they lack love. They fail because they lack boundaries. And worse, they feel guilty for having them. I used to believe boundaries were selfish. That saying no meant I didn't care enough. That tolerating discomfort was the price of love. That belief cost me years of quiet resentment. Stoicism teaches something most people avoid. You are responsible for what you tolerate. Boundaries are not walls. They are lines of self-respect. Without them, love becomes a slow erosion of the self. You don't notice it at first. You let small things slide to keep the peace. You ignore disrespect because you don't want conflict. You silence your discomfort because you're afraid of being seen as difficult. And then one day, you wake up tired. Not of loving, but of enduring. A man without boundaries is easy to access, easy to drain, and easy to forget. Because when you give unlimited access to your time, energy, and emotions, their value disappears. Stoicism does not teach coldness. It teaches discernment. A Stoic man understands this. Love does not require self-abandonment. You can be kind without being compliant. You can be patient without being passive. You can be understanding without accepting what harms you. Boundaries are not punishments. They are clarity. They quietly say, "This is how I allow myself to be treated." And the right person will not argue with that. They will respect it. If someone reacts with anger when you set a boundary, they were benefiting from your lack of one. This is where many men hesitate. They fear that boundaries will push people away. But the truth is harsher and freeing. Anyone who leaves because you chose self-respect was never aligned with you to begin with. A Stoic man does not explain his boundaries excessively. He states them calmly. He enforces them consistently. And he accepts the outcome without resentment. No drama. No emotional bargaining. No threats. Just quiet resolve. This emotional discipline creates something rare. Respect without force. When you stop overgiving, people feel the weight of your presence. When you stop tolerating disrespect, your silence speaks louder than arguments. Boundaries also protect your inner world. They prevent you from reacting impulsively, from chasing closure, from begging to be understood. Instead of asking, "Why are they treating me this way?" you begin asking, "Why am I allowing this?" And that question changes everything. Stoicism teaches control over the self, not over others. You cannot force someone to respect you. But you can refuse to stay where respect is absent. This is emotional strength. Not shouting. Not ultimatums. Not manipulation. But the calm willingness to walk away from what violates your principles. When you set boundaries without guilt, you become grounded. You stop living in reaction. You stop negotiating your peace. Love becomes lighter. Cleaner. Mutual. And if someone tests your boundaries repeatedly, you don't argue. You observe. Because patterns reveal truth better than promises. Here is what I learned the hard way. Love that requires you to betray yourself is not love worth keeping. Set your boundaries. Hold them quietly. Let people reveal whether they can meet you there. That is not cruelty. That is wisdom. Step 4. Do not abandon your purpose for love. A man without purpose is not peaceful. He is distracted. And love, when misunderstood, becomes the perfect distraction. I've seen men trade their long-term vision for short-term comfort. They didn't fail because they lacked ability. They failed because they stopped moving. At first, it feels harmless. You skip a session. Delay a plan. Postpone a dream. Just for now. But for now becomes a habit. And habits shape identity. Stoicism teaches that a man's duty is to live in accordance with his highest values. Not his moods. Not his attachments. Not his fear of loss. Purpose is not optional for a man. It is psychological structure. Without it, his energy turns inward. Into overthinking, jealousy, emotional volatility. Love does not fix that. It exposes it. A man who abandons his purpose for love sends a silent message. To himself and to his partner. I have nothing more important than you. That may sound romantic. It is not. It is pressure. No healthy relationship survives being someone's entire future. A Stoic man understands something critical. His purpose existed before love. And must continue regardless of it. This does not mean neglect. It means alignment. A relationship should fit into your life's trajectory. Not derail it. When a man is rooted in purpose, he becomes stable. His moods don't swing with every interaction. His sense of self doesn't collapse during conflict. Why? Because his life has momentum. Purpose gives a man emotional gravity. It keeps him grounded when emotions rise. Focused when chaos appears. This is why men who lose their direction often become needy. They start seeking meaning from their partner. They overinvest emotionally. They panic at distance. Not because they love deeply, but because they have nowhere else to place their energy. Stoicism warns against confusing attachment with devotion. Devotion flows from discipline. Attachment flows from emptiness. A man with purpose does not beg for attention. He earns respect through consistency. He shows up to love as a complete individual. Not as someone hoping to be completed. And paradoxically, this makes him more available emotionally. Not less. Because he is not dependent. He chooses. When love demands that you abandon your path, it is asking you to betray yourself. And any love that requires self-betrayal will eventually turn into resentment. Here is the uncomfortable truth. A woman may love you for who you are. But she will not respect the man you abandon to keep her. Respect grows from self-direction. A Stoic man does not sacrifice his mission to preserve peace. He preserves peace by honoring his mission. If someone cannot walk beside your purpose, they are not meant to walk with you. Love should complement your journey, not replace it. So build Train. Create. Advance. Let love be part of the road, not the destination. Because when a man loses his purpose, he does not just lose direction. He loses himself. Step 5. Learn to say no, without fear. Most men don't say yes because they want to. They say yes because they are afraid. Afraid of conflict. Afraid of disappointment. Afraid of being replaced. So they agree. They compromise. They overextend. Not out of love, but out of fear of loss. And fear is a terrible foundation for any relationship. Stoicism teaches that courage is not loud. It is quiet consistency in the face of discomfort. Learning to say no is not about dominance. It is about self-alignment. A man who cannot say no is not kind. He is controlled. I learned this late. I used to believe flexibility made me lovable. That being accommodating meant being mature. That sacrificing my preferences was the price of harmony. What I didn't see was this. Every unnecessary yes was a small betrayal of myself. And those betrayals accumulate. Resentment grows silently. Respect erodes invisibly. Attraction fades without explanation. Because when you say yes to everything, your yes stops meaning anything. A Stoic man understands the value of refusal. He does not explain excessively. He does not justify his boundaries emotionally. He does not apologize for having standards. His no is calm. Clear. Final. Not aggressive. Not defensive. Just grounded. This is why it carries weight. People feel when your no is rooted in principle, not emotion. They may not like it, but they respect it. Saying no without fear means accepting consequences. And Stoicism teaches us to accept what we cannot control. You cannot control how someone reacts to your honesty. You can control whether you abandon yourself to avoid discomfort. Many men fear that saying no will push people away. Here is the truth. The wrong people leave when you say no. The right people stay and adjust. If someone only values you when you comply, they do not value you. They value access. A Stoic man would rather lose connection than lose integrity. This is emotional adulthood. You stop negotiating your peace. You stop bending to be liked. You stop trading authenticity for temporary closeness. And something interesting happens when you stop fearing no. You become predictable, in the best way. People know where you stand. They know what you tolerate. They know your word has weight. That creates safety. Not the safety of endless accommodation, but the safety of clarity. In love, a man who says no when necessary creates balance. He does not disappear into the relationship. He does not dominate it. He participates with intention. And if love ends because you chose self-respect, it was never stable to begin with. Here is the Stoic truth that changed everything for me. Peace is not found by avoiding conflict. It is found by avoiding self-betrayal. Say no when you mean no. Say yes when you are aligned. Accept the outcome with dignity. That is strength. In love, sometimes silence is the answer. It gives us time to listen to ourselves and understand the other person's heart better. That's also the reason I share stories on this channel, so that you have a pause, a peaceful space to reflect. If you find this meaningful, please click like and don't forget to subscribe, so that we can continue to accompany each other on the journey to find a peaceful and profound love. Now, let's continue the rest with me. Step 6. Love with reason, not just emotion. Emotion is powerful. But power without direction becomes destruction. Most men don't fall apart in love because they feel too much. They fall apart because they stop thinking. They confuse intensity with connection, attachment with loyalty, chemistry with compatibility. And when emotion takes the wheel, reason is tied up in the trunk. Stoicism does not reject emotion. It refuses to be ruled by it. A Stoic man understands that feelings are signals, not commands. They inform. They do not decide. When you love only with emotion, every moment feels urgent. Every silence feels threatening. Every disagreement feels like a test. You react instead of responding. You chase clarity instead of observing patterns. You explain instead of standing firm. Reason gives love structure. It allows you to step back and ask, is this healthy? Is this consistent? Is this aligned with my values? Emotion alone cannot answer those questions. It only demands relief. A man without reason in love becomes predictable, reactive, impulsive, easily shaken. A man with reason becomes steady. He does not confuse passion with permanence. He does not interpret anxiety as depth. He does not romanticize chaos. Stoicism teaches mastery of perception. Not everything that feels intense is meaningful. Not everything that hurts is love. Not everything that excites you deserves your commitment. Reason slows you down. And that is its greatest strength. It allows you to notice red flags before they become scars. To listen more than you speak. To choose consistency over excitement. This is not emotional coldness. It is emotional discipline. A Stoic man still feels deeply. But he filters his actions through judgment. He does not text in anger. He does not commit in desperation. He does not promise in emotional highs. Because he understands something most men learn too late. What you do in emotional moments often defines your future more than what you feel. Reason also protects your dignity. It prevents you from chasing someone who is unsure. From overinvesting in someone inconsistent. From rationalizing disrespect because of attraction. Emotion says, I want this now. Reason asks, is this good for me long term? And love that cannot survive reason was never stable to begin with. Stoicism teaches us to act in accordance with nature. Not impulse. Human nature includes emotion. But wisdom decides how we respond to it. A man who loves with reason does not rush. He observes. He tests alignment over time. And if something feels wrong, he does not argue with reality. He adjusts. This creates a form of attraction that is rare. Calm confidence. Not the loud kind. The unshakable kind. Because when you love with reason, you are no longer afraid of losing control. You already have it. Step 7, remember, you are whole, with or without love. This is the hardest truth to accept. And the most liberating. Most men don't fear being alone. They fear facing themselves without distraction. So they cling. They endure. They stay longer than they should. Not because love is strong, but because their sense of self is fragile. Stoicism teaches a simple but unforgiving principle. Nothing external completes you. Not love. Not validation. Not companionship. These things can enrich your life. But they cannot define your worth. When you forget this, love becomes a negotiation for wholeness. You tolerate what hurts you. You accept what diminishes you. You confuse attachment with meaning. A Stoic man does not fear the absence of love. Because he does not derive his identity from it. He understands that solitude is not emptiness. It is clarity. Being whole means this. If love stays, you appreciate it. If love leaves, you endure. You grieve. But you do not collapse. You miss. But you do not beg. Because your foundation was never another person. Many men discover this too late. After a breakup shatters them, they realize they built their entire emotional house on someone else's presence. Stoicism warns against this attachment long before it breaks you. A man who knows he is whole does not need to rush love. He does not fear endings. He does not stay where he is not valued. He chooses. Not because he is afraid to be alone, but because he prefers connection over isolation. That difference changes everything. When you are whole, love becomes calm. There is no urgency. No emotional bargaining. No fear-driven decisions. You stop asking, what if I lose them? And start asking, is this worthy of my life? Wholeness also gives you dignity in endings. You do not try to win someone back at the cost of self-respect. You do not rewrite your values to be chosen again. You accept what is. And move forward without bitterness. This is Stoic strength. Not indifference. Not emotional numbness. But inner completeness. The kind that does not beg to be filled. When you live from this place, something paradoxical happens. You become more capable of deep love. Because you are no longer loving to survive. You are loving to share. You do not ask love to save you. You invite it to walk beside you. And if it chooses not to, you keep walking. Whole. Here is the final truth, spoken plainly. Love should never be the reason you stand. It should be the reason you walk together. If you remember this, you will never lose yourself in love again. Conclusion. Love was never meant to take you away from yourself. It was meant to meet you where you already stand. Yet most men learn this only after they've given too much, stayed too long, and ignored the quiet voice inside that warned them early on. Stoicism teaches us that the greatest danger in love is not heartbreak. It is self-betrayal. When you forget your value, love becomes a transaction. When you abandon your center, love becomes anxiety. When you cross your own boundaries, love becomes exhaustion. But when you stand rooted in who you are, love changes its shape. It becomes calmer, cleaner, more honest. You no longer love to be chosen. You love because you choose. You no longer fear endings, because you know who you are without attachment. You no longer tolerate what erodes you, because peace matters more than approval. This is the quiet power of Stoic love. Not dramatic. Not desperate. Not loud. Just steady. A man who loves without losing himself does not dominate, and he does not disappear. He remains present, with dignity. He understands that love should walk beside him, not replace his path. That connection should deepen life, not define it. That being alone is not failure, it is alignment. And if love stays, it is a gift. If it leaves, it is a lesson, not a collapse. Remember this, and you will never beg to be loved again. You will never trade your soul for comfort. You will never confuse attachment with meaning. Because the strongest form of love is not found in sacrifice. It is found in self-respect. And from that place, love becomes what it was always meant to be. A choice, not a necessity. Thank you for watching today's video. I'm so happy to share my lessons about love and relationships with you. I hope you learned something new and can apply it to your life. If you find the video useful, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you for always accompanying and supporting me. Wish you a good day and don't forget to love yourself a lot.